Hello everybody, Pinstripe here. What is up with you? Welcome back to mission 16 over the top, where we progress on to the objective of taking down 2 artilleries. The cool thing about it though is that you are able to access a super TNT which can destroy the artillery in one go. But why would you do that? You've got 2 perfectly good artillery sitting there. Why not use them to take on the enemy that you're facing? In this case, the enemy has, I think, 4 gunners, 1 commando, and a grunt. The grunt's just there because he's placed in the middle of a bridge, and I guess that looks kind of cool, like cinematically, I suppose. The bridge is the main portion of this map, where you have these 2 large mounds in the middle that have the artillery on them, and there's like a fake minefield behind one of the artilleries. I don't know, it's a strange one. But you're able to get the super TNT and blow up the artillery and get the medals and then kill everybody. But what I like to do is to gain access to the higher ground, use the artilleries, take out the enemy players, then destroy them, and then finish the round. This is one of the first missions where you see the enemy having a commando, and that's usually the first person I go for because, well, the commando's got a decent arsenal. Compare that to the rest of his team, who, as I said, is just a grunt and a gunner, and there's a big difference between the weapons that he's got. So I'm targeting him to begin with the artillery, so he is instantly taken care of, didn't even have a single turn. That's awesome. He's dealt with just the gunners and the grunt to go, which, when you think about it, isn't going to be too much of a problem because I have a spy. I can pickpocket 1 gunner and basically make him a prisoner of war, if you will, because well, as you'll see in a second, I have 3 pickpockets, he has 3 weapons, so he will have nothing. Then he'll continue to skip his turn, and that's just highly beneficial for me because it allows me to take out the artillery, gain the medals, and then finish the job, essentially. The other highly beneficial reason as to why you should take the artillery is because it works as a perfect distraction tool. You've heard me say it on a bunch of other missions, in that the enemy will always target the pig that has a vehicle of some kind, and artillery is the biggest vehicle there is, and when you've got 2 of them, it just diverts all of the enemy's attention onto that, and essentially works in your favour because you want to destroy the artilleries anyway, so why not let them do it for you? I mean, if an artillery blows up, you lose 40 health, but really, if you've got a surgeon and if you've got commandos or heroes at this point, you're going to be able to heal up your team. You've got more options than just a single pig to heal with, so you can take more of a risk, take the artillery before the other team does, and then that will just allow you to sit back and relax and basically dictate the entire course of the mission. When you think about it, that's usually the cue for a lot of the vehicle-based missions in the single-player campaign, is that it is your job to basically destroy them, but the easier option is to utilize them however you feel, whether you actually, jump in that tank, utilize its air burst and then like blow it up, or you take the artillery, use its best shells and then destroy it, so there's different methods of going about the missions that contain vehicles, and you don't necessarily have to completely ignore them and not use them, because particularly in the harder levels, the more you can take the focus off your individual teammates, the better it's going to be for you, because, less damage is dealt to them, more is dealt to the armor, I guess, from the vehicles themselves, and not to the pig inside, obviously, unless it blows up. But by that point, when a vehicle is low on health, you can kind of gauge when to jump out and when to blow it up, or when to just completely abandon a vehicle, because there comes a point in every game when you have to sit down and say to yourself, well, I could utilize this last shell, or I could not damage myself and just carry on foot and go and damage somebody else with whatever weapons I have that my pig has, not the vehicle. This is one of the only missions where you have the enemy team individually drop in at different points during the match, so rather than having all of the pigs on the map to begin with, they individually float down on parachutes at random points during the game. I think it's after a certain amount of turns, but it's kind of nice because it's a different way of structuring how a game is played. So I'll find that regardless of how many times I've actually played this level, I'll forget that there's another gunner that's going to be dropping down within the next 4 turns or so, so it's nice that they, I guess, structured it differently, and that it was less linear with having all pigs on one side. There was never a moment with the level design or with the way that pigs are placed on a map. It never seemed boring. You know, you had the early missions on Hogs Head where everything was very basic. You had this team on this side and this team on this side, and then things get a bit more complex the more you go through each individual level, because then that ties in with objectives and having to get to certain parts of the map and having different time limits. I think it just mixed in all the different elements that Hogs of War had as its strong points, and level design is certainly one of them. So I've mentioned briefly before about different themes and different weather effects and all that kind of thing, and there is a very good mix in the single player campaign of snowy levels, muddy levels, rainy levels, you know, and all playing off that theme of World War One. As you can see, the enemy has been constantly targeting my artillery, which again is fine, seeing as I've already destroyed one of the artillery pieces. I don't need it. It was getting fairly low on health, and also because I felt like bringing my commando out, letting him roam free and basically play the role of picking up the medals, because eventually I'll be getting my hero to jump out, destroy the other artillery, and then he can collect it afterwards, because I have my pig structured as hero goes first and then a commando. So everything is in my favor. I'm going to be finishing off this other gunner with a poison shell, because it's got some decent range. You don't have to necessarily land that shell directly on the pig, but I did anyway. So he's taken care of. 2 guys to go, and I'm basically in the driving seat because I can pick up the other medal and take out, or try to take out, one of the other gunners, because he has the most health of 75, and I have a cluster bomb that has his name on it, which is pretty sweet. I could have killed him if the initial explosion of the grenade had dealt some damage, but I overcooked it just a little bit. But nevertheless, the additional grenades from the initial explosion dealt, let's do some maths here. So he's lost a lot of health. He has 8 health left, which means that my brain is great at maths, which means that he lost 67 health. Isn't that crazy? I'm great at really quick maths, I swear to you. But anyway, so yeah, the artilleries are getting destroyed. That's fine by me, because my spy has a bazooka, which allows me to utilize him, long range, because I find that the spy is very limited. Of course he is. He's got a sniper rifle, so his sight line is dependent on not having any landscape in the way, not having any high hills in the way. But if he's got a bazooka, which I pickpocketed earlier, all is going to be good. So I figured I'd do some damage on the final gunner, because I mean, either way, he hasn't got any weapons. I can just shoot him in the face. But he does get a bazooka. For some reason, if a pig skips their go multiple times and they're on the enemy team, they'll eventually be gifted a weapon, because, you know, they have to be doing something, which kind of feels a bit unfair when you've pickpocketed them and you expect them not to have any weapons. But what can you do? So the artillery is taken care of. The final medal is going to drop down, and I just have to collect it and then kill the other dude. So that in itself is pretty much going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. What do you think of this mission? Do you love it? Do you hate it? I personally enjoy it because, you know, it's kind of a respite from the rest of the levels we've already gone through. You've got artilleries. What more do you want? It's my favorite vehicle, I have to say. But from the medals we take from today, we're going to promote my saboteur, sorry. I'm going to promote my saboteur to a commando, because we need another one, and I want to keep my spy and my surgeon for the time being, for that extra heals, for the ability to pickpocket. You know, it comes in handy later on. But like I said, let me know your thoughts on everything. As always, let's get discussion going. Plenty more content coming up soon. I hope you guys can stick around and indeed subscribe, and I will catch you guys later for the next one.